How many of us in this room were like, I would die for my family? The question I have for you is, would you live for them? Would you break generational curses for them? Would you become who you need to become for them? Will you do what you need to do in order to win? I know you'll die for your family, but will you freaking live for them? I want to go over 7 points on how to improve leadership. Number 1 is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is not just, I'm in control over my own emotions. And that's incredibly important. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But it's also, I have the ability to pick up and read the emotions of other people in which I'm having a conversation with, so I can adjust my tone and my operating system to help comfort them through the emotional bind that they're experiencing to help them get through it. So emotional intelligence is not just I control my own emotions. Emotional intelligence is I'm able to help other people with theirs because I'm able to read and or pick up on where they're at. And that is so important when it comes to leadership and trying to grow a business. It's called sensory acuity. You got to be able to read the room. You got to be able to know who you're talking to, who you're dealing with. Even this conversation is not by accident. Hopefully you catch the strategy here. The fact that I'm talking about emotional control, okay? It's so important. It is the difference between people that grow big teams and people that don't. It all comes down to the emotional intelligence of the leader. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to ask yourself, how in control of my emotions am I? Scale of 1 to 10. Am I able to govern my own emotions? Not just when things are great. I'm talking about under fire, under duress, when everything's going wrong. I posted a quote, and I thought it was pretty good. It says, true leadership isn't about being liked. It's about being respected when things get ugly. This is the part that I love. The real leaders make the hardest calls because when the storm hits, your team needs a captain, not a friend. Can people trust you to be the captain? Or are you operating under the same emotional duress as all the crew on your ship? Because if all of a sudden the storm hits and the crew's going crazy and the captain goes crazy with the crew now loses confidence in the captain. And they say, I don't know if I trust this person to steer the ship anymore. Are we in control over our own emotions? And then can we start to pick up and understand the emotions in which other people are operating with when communicating with them? Because that's the big part. You're fine. You just get annoyed by how the other person's responding and or reacting. Maybe you're not dealing with the stable version. You're dealing with a 6-year-old version of them or a 7-year-old version of them, or maybe they have something else going wrong. Because if you really think about it, like when you snap, is it ever because of the situation or is it because of a whole bunch of situations adding up? So emotionally intelligent person says, they're not attacking me, something else just attacked them, and it's affecting how they're talking to me. And they're not an emotionally controlled person, and they don't have emotional intelligence, so they're allowing circumstances that have nothing to do with you to interfere with how they're talking to you. So as you guys are trying to build your team, you got to realize that a lot of times when you're dealing with problems in your business, they really have nothing to do with you. But the moment you take it personal is the moment you now immerse yourself into a situation that you didn't have to be in to begin with. I'm not saying you don't deal with the situation, but if all of a sudden they emotionally react and then you emotionally react to their emotional reaction, now you are in the same boat as them. You are no longer in leadership. But if we can start to understand they're emotionally going off right now, it has nothing to do with me. It probably has 8 things that happened today or over the last couple of days. And something just sparked and I happen to be in front of the fire. Now, how do I help put this fire back in place so it doesn't get out of hand and burn down all of LA? Make sense? Emotional intelligence. Something that will help you with this is just a simple question. Am I operating above the line? Above the line means rational. It's conscious decision making. No emotion. It's logical. It's solution-oriented. Above the line means, am I working towards a solution? Yes or no? Below the line means reactive, emotional, irrational. You're allowing things to govern your decision-making. And so if you just ask yourself, am I going to operate above the line in this situation? Above the line just means solution-oriented. Below the line means reactive, emotional. Just that simple sentence has probably saved me 75 relationships. But to be honest, I just asked, is this going to get me close to the solution? Yes or no? Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all. Are you speaking to be heard, or are you speaking to make things better? Are you speaking to validate your own point, or are you speaking to make things better? Are you speaking from emotion, or are you speaking towards solution? As leaders, if you want to grow the size of your team, it's how good at this can you become? Because your team is going to be filled with a whole bunch of people you don't agree with. A whole bunch of people that don't know how to govern or control their emotions. And it's your ability to be like, okay. Number 2, certainty. Are you giving your people certainty? Do they feel more certain about the business because of you? Well, guys, we have to realize that people already have enough uncertainty in their life. People have uncertainty in their homes. They have uncertainty in the economy. They have uncertainty in politics. They have uncertainty in their household. They have uncertainty everywhere. And if you add to the uncertainty, you just lost them in leadership. It's, can you be the most certain person in the room? Certain in where you are going. Once again, certain in your emotions. If people don't know how you're going to react and or respond to something because you have a track record where it's different every time, they're going to be uncertain in their ability to bring you problems and issues because how you respond to those problems and issues changes every time. And that uncertainty makes them not even want to deal with you. So can we have certainty in our emotional state and how we respond to things and how we deal with problems? Can we have certainty in the vision and where we're going? If all of a sudden a problem pops up or contracting pops up or we lost a carrier 10 months ago or whatever it is, and it's our ability to demonstrate certainty in times of uncertainty that determines whether or not people will continue to follow you. So not only do we have to have certainty in our emotional state, not only do we have to have certainty in the way that we deal with problems, not only do we have to have certainty in where we're going, we also have to have certainty in our ability. Do people look at you and say, for a fact, this person can get me from where I am to where I want to be? And if they do not believe that you have everything that they need in order to go from where they are to where they want to be, they will not have certainty in your leadership. This once again goes back to controlling your personal, like I talked about earlier. You got to have certainty there. But you know what you also have to have certainty in? Your belief in them. See, this is what most people don't realize in leadership, is you are operating with a very high caliber bullet being in leadership. Meaning what you say can make and or break somebody. And so if you demonstrate any doubt in someone's ability to win or succeed, they will now doubt themselves because if they're like, if my own leader doesn't believe in me, why should I even believe in me? And your people are wondering like, does my leader think I can win here? And if my leader doesn't think I can win here, why would I even try to win here? They don't even think I can win. So they're looking at you and saying, do you believe? You've been doing this a while. You've been doing this for 5 minutes, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You've been doing this. You know how to spot them. Do you think I can win here? And you're able to look at them and say, Trisha, you can win here. You can do this. You can change your life. You got everything in you that it takes to win. And if you're able to bring that and demonstrate that in the way that you communicate with people, where your belief in them overrides the doubt that they're experiencing in their own mind, they're about to start walking around with a different level of confidence because all they're wanting is for you to believe in them. The same way a child just wants their mom and dad to believe in them, a team wants their leader to believe in them and say, you can do this, you got this. I've been doing this a while and you have everything it takes. Your belief in people needs to override the doubt that they're experiencing in their own mind. And every person that comes into your organization is doubting themselves. They're doubting the opportunity. They're doubting if they can do this. Their whole childhood, their parents put doubt on them. And now they're walking around in shackles to limiting beliefs that their parents had that they weren't even born with. And it's our ability to pour belief in them and break those chains that's going to determine whether or not they go on to become what they can become. That's number 2. Number 3 is they believe that you believe what you are saying. Have you guys ever heard me talk about the movie Elf? So all of a sudden, Santa trying to deliver presents on Christmas. They used to go off Christmas spirit. And all of a sudden, the sleigh is flying in and there's a lack of Christmas spirit in New York City. To the point that the engine stopped working because there wasn't enough Christmas spirit in order for the reindeers to continue to pull the sled. And they're trying to get the sled off the ground and they're like, what do we got to do? What do we got to do? They're trying to repair the engine's not working. And Buddy the elf, Will Ferrell, greatest comedian actor of all time, says, I got this. He didn't say it like that, but... And he goes and grabs his elf girlfriend, and they go out in the middle of the news, and they just start singing Christmas carols, and all of a sudden they're trying to get it off the ground, and then the little kid in his living room singing Christmas carols, and everyone's singing Christmas carols, and all of a sudden the belief starts to pick up, and the belief starts to pick up, and the belief starts to pick up, and the reindeer started to catch the spirit, and all of a sudden the sled takes off, and all the kids get presents. But it all came from the belief. So some of you guys are like, I'm trying to get my business off the ground, but you don't believe. And your people can see that you don't believe, so they doubt if the business works because you still have a part-time, you're still doing this part-time. Your spouse is doing this part-time. And your team is like, I want to believe, but like, do you believe that this works? Because you're part-time. Like, hey, listen, I want to believe that this works, but you speak with levels of doubt and uncertainty. You speak with levels of negativity. Like, I don't even know if you believe that you're going to get to where you want to go. And so then they look at your belief and it's influencing them to not believe in the business. Goes back to the certainty comment. See how everything kind of builds up on each other? Influences, they believe that you believe what you're saying. And you don't need, this is what most people do. Most people are like, if I see it, then I'll believe it. But that's not how faith works, does it? Faith is, I'm going to believe it even though I haven't seen it. And the best part about this business, though, is I don't know how somebody doesn't operate with faith because there's so many people that you are seeing do it. We got 3 7-figure annual earners in the last 10 months in this room right now. We got like 4 people that just crossed the $500,000, no big deal. We have all these people winning, which means you have all these people that you're seeing succeed. So if you're operating with any doubt, it's not because the business is a variable, it's because you are. You're looking at yourself wondering, am I willing to do what's required in order to get the goal? It's not can the business deliver on the goal, it's am I willing to do what it takes to get the goal? And so you're questioning whether or not you're willing to do what it takes, or you're questioning whether your spouse is willing to do what it takes. And then that's rubbing off on your people's belief in whether or not they can win here. Which means if you're the one pioneering the business, then guess what? You got to have that belief. And if your spouse is the one pioneering the business, and they're the one writing the business, you guys are both building it, I want to be very clear about it, okay? But that means that you got to speak life into them. You got to speak life into them. There's nobody's opinion that matters more to me outside of my creator than my wife. And so if my wife doesn't believe in me, I'm like, might as well quit now. If you are speaking any level of doubt over your spouse at all, you're challenging their judgment at all, then they're going to begin to doubt themselves on whether or not they can win here. I'm trying to hit it from all angles, so hopefully the plane lands. We got to speak life into people. We got to speak life about what they can do. Hey, I trust you. I know you can do it. Number 4, you control what your people think about. You control what your people think about. If I say blue, what color are you thinking about? If I'm saying ocean, what are you thinking about? Red, truck. You control what your people think about by what you say. So if I say blue, you think about blue. If I say something negative, your people are now thinking about something negative. If I say something positive, your people are thinking about something positive. Here's the problem. You will move towards what you think about the most. What dominates your thinking will determine the outcome of your life. Your inner world becomes your outer world. And so if we are speaking negativity, our people are thinking about negativity, you move towards what you think about the most, which if it's negativity, they're moving towards what? And does that help or hurt your business? Hurts your business. So if that hurts your business and you control what people think about, shouldn't you govern what you say? Shouldn't you be careful about how you present information? Some people were like, Matt, I heard an annuity rate drop by 0.7%. How come you didn't tell me? Because if I told the world, everyone would be freaking depressed and nobody would be selling annuities. So I just addressed it when it popped up. That's it. I don't want people thinking about that. I just want them going and writing new annuities. That's it. And I'd say like, well, man, no. I'm not putting anything negative out. I want my people focus on winning, getting to the next level. Check the product guide before you sell something. That's what you should do regardless. That's what we used to do at the practice company. Why is it different here? Rates are always changing on annuities. Why would this be any different? So you got to control what people think about. If you want them to move towards their goals, talk about their goals. If you want them to move towards their promotion, talk to them about their promotion. If you want them to move towards the cash flow, talk to them about their cash flow. If you want them to move towards directs, constantly remind them of their directs. If you want to remind them about production, move towards production. So literally, what you say is the captain of the ship. So are you intentionally steering the ship of where you want your base shop to go based off the words you're speaking? People say, Matt, how did your guys' base shop do what it did the last 12 months without you being there? Because I would show up on a base shop call and I would point the ship every week. That's all I had to do. Because I know that whatever I sell big enough that week, everybody will focus on. Every week, we just pointed the ship. What do I want people focused on? Everyone get one direct this week? I'm going to sell a direct like nobody's ever sold a direct before. I want them focusing on 3-3-30. I'm going to sell 3-3-30. I'm going to sell tap rooting. I'm going to sell one app. I'm going to sell an instant approval. I'm going to sell $1 million baby. I'm going to sell a term. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to point 130 participants' minds in a direction of where I want them to go, hoping they all just do one. Because I control what my people think about. I did Momentum Monday this morning. What is everyone thinking about? Their habits right now. You want to know why? I steered the ship. Last week, I talked about closing. You want to know why? I wanted to steer the ship towards closing. Wherever I want the ship to go, I just speak it and I sell it. And then people go in that direction. That's the way it works. So never speak negativity. You think, oh, I'm just talking to a friend, but now they're thinking about something negative. I call that gossip. You call it sharing information. I don't know. That's just how I view it personally. If I go, Cheyenne, you'll never guess what just happened to me. You'll never guess. And now I tell her something negative. Guess what she's thinking about the next 6 hours? Guess what? Whose business just went to crap the next 6 hours? Make sense? People are like, Matt, do you tell Allie anything that goes on in the business? To be upfront with you, not one thing. She doesn't know one negative thing that's happened to me ever in this business. Do you know why? Because I don't want her thinking about it. Because if her and I are thinking about it, that means we are getting closer to the problem and not the solution. I don't want to have two RASs trying to filter in more problems. People say, well, Matt, you just got it. No, I know how the mind works. And if I tell her she's now thinking about it, if she's now thinking about it, she's got to get it off her chest and go tell somebody. And now everyone's thinking about it. And now we just got closer to making the problem bigger, not making it smaller. You don't speak problems to anybody. I'll just embrace it. I'll just wear it. I'm not talking to anybody about my problems. Someone's like, you really need a counselor. You just got to know how the mind works. It's how the mind works. So I guard that bad boy. So you don't want to speak negativity to your team in any capacity. Not even in a friend. You'll never see what happens. Like, no, none of it. Okay? Number 5, mix business with family. Not the other, you ever said never make business with family. Bullshit. Mix business with family. Leaders are built in the home. Leaders are never going to be built on Zoom. Mix business with family. Do you know it's just a constant thought that goes through my mind? Because I want to build with people I want to be around a bonfire with in 30 years. That's why I love being in business with you guys and your spouses. They're the type of people I would enjoy being around a bonfire with in 30 years. I only build with people I like. And I like all of you. I actually do. That's not like a leadership thing. I actually do. I think you guys know me by now. I shoot it from the hip. You know what I mean? It's just the reality. I want to build a business with people I want to be around in 30 years. Sitting around a bonfire talking about all the crazy stuff we did and the lives we changed, the businesses we built. I think like that. Okay? Which means that we're not just building a business, we're building a family, and that family is the culture. That's important. I think some of us, I'm going to separate business from family. I'm like, that's why your team's not unified. It's the same thing. I'm the same person in business as I am with my family. There is zero difference. There's zero difference. So why would I be afraid to mix the two? I want my daughters in this, and I have no problem with you coming into my family. We've had a bunch of our team live with us. I have no problem because I'm going to be the same person. I have no problem because we're the same person. Some of us, we separate the two, and then you wonder why there's no unity. You wonder why your team's not growing because you're separating versus just bringing it all together. Why are you building with people that you wouldn't trust your kids around? Make sense? Like, I only build with people that I trust my kids around, so I have no problem having my kids involved. If you're building with people that you don't trust, that's a personal issue. Number 6, handling people problems. First thing that I tell you with handling people problems. Number 1, no judgment. I know the skeletons in every closet of our organization. 0 judgment. He who has not sinned, throw the first stone. I have 0 judgment over people. And it's one of the reasons people can bring things to me. And I'm like, wow, okay. Let's find a solution. Because I don't have any judgment. Doesn't mean I'm okay with certain things. No. It just means me judging them is not going to help them heal and get better. Make sense? So if we operate with judgment, then all of a sudden it changes the way we view them. And if we change the way that we view them, it changes whether or not we can help them grow. There are people that we have in our organization that if I would have judged them 4 years ago when they made a mistake, they wouldn't be walking in their faith the way that they're walking right now. Number 2, solution-oriented. Once again, going back to solutions. Because everyone just needs to tell one person that they think won't tell anyone, but they got to tell one person. That they won't tell anyone, they got to tell one person. And all of a sudden, the problem reveals itself again. Guys, everything that we speak comes to life. Everything we speak comes to life. I'm going to steal this from Pastor Adrian. I can't take it as my own. Why do you think they call it spelling? Because everything you say casts a spell. So we got to be careful of what we speak. So if all of a sudden a problem pops up, I solve a problem, and then I talk about it again, what did I just do? I just replanted the seed of the problem. So everything you speak is a seed, and that seed will grow. You guys starting to pay attention to like this pattern of like obsess about what you say and or don't say, the thoughts you think, like it all adds up. So that's how you deal with people problems. Very important. And then last one, number 7, we got to stay on offense. We got to stay on offense. And if you're in this room right now, you're like, man, like I got to keep my spouse on offense. I got to stay on offense. We got to stay on offense. And what is the best defense? A strong offense. The best defense is a strong offense. So what is the best way to not get scored on? Keep shooting on the opponent's goal. Because you only have something to worry about when the ball goes into back in your half. But if the ball stays in their half, you are good. And we got to understand that if we don't stay on offense, our momentum is not going to be there. And if our momentum fades out, do you know how difficult it is to create momentum? Oh my goodness, momentum is jealous. And if you don't appreciate it and love on it and send text messages to it, like I sent my wife earlier, if you don't love on it, that momentum is going to go find someone else that appreciates it, that loves on it. And you got to be aware of that. And so the best way to stay in a state of momentum is to stay on offense. And the moment you get relaxed, fat check, awesome, this is amazing, and you don't keep your spouse going and or you don't keep yourself going, that momentum will eventually die. And to get momentum back to where it is such a difficult thing. And if we go back on defense because we start to become comfortable in our ways or relaxed in our ways and we are not intense and focused and clear and doing what we need to do, our momentum will drop. We now go on defense. Everything feels like it's falling off the books. Our team feels like it's quitting. Our cash flow is going down. And now all of a sudden we're on defense because we're not staying on offense, doing the things that we needed to do that generated the momentum in the first place. You got to stay on offense. Because if you keep putting yourself in positions of defense, it's going to affect your family. How many of us in this room are like, I would die for my family. I would die for my kids. I would die for my family. The question I have for you is, would you live for them? We all know you would die for them, but would you live for them? Would you break generational curses for them? Would you become who you need to become for them? Will you work on yourself for them? Will you read the books for them? Will you work the way you need to work for them? Will you do what you need to do in order to win? I know you'll die for your family, but will you freaking live for them? That's the question. And I think some of us won't live for our people. Like we're not living for our kids. We're still walking around with the same limiting beliefs that our parents placed on us versus breaking those shackles and then being the parent to our children that we didn't have. We got to go be the example for our kids. Generational curses are also duplicated. Good behavior gets duplicated. Bad behavior gets duplicated. Generational curses get duplicated. Generational blessings get duplicated. Bad standards get duplicated. Good standards get duplicated. Live for your kids. The other night, Allie and a couple of girls went to a church women's retreat. I had the girls. Friday night, I'm sitting on my couch. I'm preparing for NLA the next morning. And all of a sudden, I hear my daughter crying. And not like just a normal cry. She's bloody murder, right? And she's screaming, crying. And I popped up off that couch like I've been doing pop-ups my whole life. And I popped up off that couch. I jumped over the back of it. I ran slow motion in my mind. I opened the door. I picked her up. I held her and I just rocked her on the floor because she had a nightmare. And it meant everything to me to be her hero. And it may not have been it was just a nightmare, but it meant something to me to be her hero, to show up for her when she needed me, to be there for her when she felt like she was hopeless. I showed up. I was the hero in her life in that moment. You have the opportunity to be a hero in your child's life. You have the opportunity to show up for your family, to show up for your kids, to show up for your children. And you're walking around broken, or you're walking around not believing that you can do it. And I just want you to know that you can. It's just a decision to say, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go be that example. I'm going to be that hero for my kids. Because what's going to happen is if you don't decide to be that hero, your children are going to grow up wearing another man's last name. They're going to wear another man's last name. And they're going to show up to games where people actually chase their dreams. And it's going to say Bryant on the back or LeBron on the back. And they're going to be wearing other man's last names because you didn't do what you needed to do to make your last name mean something. Do you know why you get emotional when you see all these movies and you see somebody hit the game-winning shot, or maybe you don't get emotional about that, right? But game-winning shot, you get emotional, or a superhero comes in and saves the day, the reason you get emotional about these things is because you see a piece of yourself in the person that saved the day, and you know that person's in you. You just haven't pulled them out just yet. And I just want to challenge you to pull that person out and go be the hero for your kids. Go be the hero for your family. Inspire your spouse to be that hero. Inspire your spouse to be that hero for your family. Because all they want is for you to speak life in them the same way all you want is for your spouse to speak life in you.